Hey, what's up guys? JQ back with Teqreation, where I use technology for recreation. I've only ever used Android Wear watches and Galaxy watches in the past simply because primarily my phones have always been Android long term. That plays an important role to the context of this video because there's definitely a lot I have to say about the Apple Watch experience, so kick back, relax, and let's not waste any time. So first things first, I'm not a fan of the whole square watch design. I never was, and I don't think I ever will be. And I gotta say, I was actually taken back by how small this watch actually is, especially for being the larger 44mm model as opposed to the even smaller 40mm model. So the biggest size is still small, and it's actually kind of cute. But I prefer bigger, bolder, manlier looking smartwatches. That's just my personal preference, and for me, the Apple Watch is a little too feminine looking for my taste. Now, the benefit to its size is that it's really lightweight. So Apple includes both small and medium bands in the box for your convenience. The medium happens to work just fine for me, and I just love how easy attaching these bands are. You basically just slide them until it clicks and you're done. It doesn't get easier than that. This particular band right here is a sport band, which is extremely comfortable. I love how breathable this rubber is, and even when it's on snug, you feel a little pressure, but you don't ever feel that it's choking or suffocating your wrist like some other sport bands do. And there's no itching of any sort. It's non-irritating, which is good. So when you combine its comfort with its lightweight build, at times you may forget that you're wearing it at times, and without even thinking, I found myself showering with it, sleeping with it, and that's not something that I do with smartwatches, even if I know that they have a waterproof rating. So that speaks a lot to the comfort of the Apple Watch. And I do think that that water eject feature is really unique. That's something I've never seen before on a smartwatch. So this works by using a series of sound waves that allow the vibration to propel water outward that may have settled inside the speaker. You might have to do it a few times until it's all out, but it's still an interesting feature nonetheless, and I'll go more into detail about this crown button later in the video. So on the back of it is your heart rate sensor, your ECG, and built-in wireless charging, and Apple includes a standard magnetic wireless charger that adopts the same method as smartwatches prior to the Apple Watch. I'm always a big fan of this charging method, and I haven't had any issues with it so far, and to my knowledge, these aren't Qi compatible, and that pretty much sucks. And I said the same thing about the Galaxy Watch. Having that added convenience would have been nice to see. So the Series 4 has a 1.78-inch AMOLED display using sapphire crystal glass along with a curved finish, and although the screen elements don't curve along with it, I just love the way it looks. The colors and the pixel density make this tiny screen that much more of a pleasure to look at. Now we also get 3D touch built into the display, which works the same just as it does on your iPhone to pull up more options, and the touch input is very responsive. Touching corners is a non-issue. Overall, aside from its shape, I'm very satisfied with this display. I like it a lot. Now when it comes to watchOS, as somebody who comes from the other side of the fence, I was really underwhelmed with the selection of watch faces. There's no like dedicated store to purchase or download more watch faces, and that's something I would have really liked to see. Instead, you get these partial solutions by using apps like Facer, which pretty much just lets you download photo albums to your phone that you can set to sync with the watch app, so that when the photo's watch face is enabled, it just slideshows through a gallery. And sure, I guess that's an alternative, but those aren't watch faces. And for that reason alone, that makes me miss my Galaxy Watch. So I settled for the select few pre-installed ones that I thought looked pretty cool, which were the Fire and Water, where you have these flames that fill up the entire frame. We have Vapor, which does pretty much the same thing. And Astronomy, where you can choose to show the Earth or Moon. You can spin it around and interact with it. The graphics are on point with smooth animations. And all of these watch faces you can interact with to some degree and are of very high quality. Or you can just 3D touch your current watch face and access the limited customization options. And inside the watch app, you have some more customizations where you can change the style of the selected face along with adjusting complications, which sounds fancy, but it's literally not anything complicated. This basically just lets you choose where you want certain information to be on the watch face. Now the same fluidity of the watch faces is true for watchOS itself. The transitions and elements behave very smooth. Navigating the watch is not intimidating at all. You'll find all the basic features that you can expect on any smartwatch. So we get iMessage and SMS with support for voice dictation, emojis, handwriting, and digital touch as your reply options. It basically has everything you need for communication. Phone calls on the Apple Watch sound crystal clear. The speaker was very audible, and callers on the other end never questioned me whether I was on a speakerphone or if I was using a headset. They just didn't know I was using a watch, so that's always a good thing. And this goes for any smartwatch. If you're standing, you want to make your conversations quick, otherwise your arm is going to give out during long conversations. If you are going to go that route and have long conversations, I think resting your arm arm on the table is a lot more effective for those chatty patties. Now, probably one of my favorite things about watchOS are the notifications. They just seem to be a lot richer from what I've seen on other smartwatches. It's just like a mini iOS. It's very familiar and intuitive with grouping that you can tap to expand and swipe left to manage them or to just clear them away altogether. And continuing with the familiarity, we get a mini control center with just a simple swipe up that lets you access your basic toggles, silencer, do not disturb, theater mode, airplane mode, etc. And lastly, the flush button on your lower right lets you pull up your multitasking dock to quickly cycle through your recent apps, just like you would on iOS. And Apple just always does a great job in keeping their product experience familiar across all of their devices. Now, double tapping the dock button pulls up Apple Pay, so you can go ahead and set your default cards right from within the watch app, and it's ready to go as soon as you open it up, so the NFC tap to pay transactions just happen a lot faster. So now onto that scroll wheel, or the crown as Apple calls it. So this basically helps you navigate menus throughout watchOS. It definitely takes some getting used to, and it does feel satisfying to scroll with that slight haptic feedback that you get, which you can also turn off in the settings, by the way. And it does have more than one use, so double pressing the crown will take you directly to the last app that you were in, and pressing and holding it in will activate Siri. And as you can imagine, I didn't really use it much, and the only time I really use Siri is on my iPhone to launch my shortcuts, but the ability to run shortcuts from the watch has been a hit or miss for me. It doesn't seem like it's fully supported, so I just stay away from Siri for the most part. Now, the only time Siri comes in handy for me on the watch is when I'm composing text messages on the fly when I'm walking. The voice pickup is great, and I'm not sure if it's the microphone placement or if Siri just has been optimized on the watch for that particular function. I just feel a lot more confident speaking to the watch in a more relaxed tone. It's just a much better and much more functional solution than using Bixby on a smartwatch. Now, continuing with the crown, I found it to be especially useful also when it came to increasing the volume whenever I had my earbuds in, listening to Spotify. And that was one of my complaints about the Galaxy Watch, if you saw my review on that. It was the inconsistent media controls. On the Apple Watch, the media controls they work flawlessly. I've never had any problem skipping or pausing media that was playing from my phone, and even when listening to YouTube videos in the background with YouTube Red, the ongoing now playing notification just always works, and it makes listening to commentary so much more easier, and I have yet to come across any glitches or bugs. I just love how useful app complications are without having to download any extra widgets or companion or service apps. I love that sort of seamless integration that iOS has with watchOS. It's just so clean and everything just feels complete, like a complete package. Now, one critique that I have that I think would have made the Apple Watch experience a lot better is I would have liked to see like a main widget center, just like we get on iOS. You know, something that you can just swipe over to and tap into the sub functions of apps. But instead you have to manually launch each app on the watch, and only apps that support complications will give you those widget-like controls. And even Apple's very own Shortcuts app doesn't support complications, so you can't use it on watchOS. Even that one feature alone, I would have been happy with. Basically, all of the apps on my iPhone I would like to use on my Apple Watch in one way or another. And currently, watchOS just isn't there yet. For a smartwatch, the Apple Watch incorporates a great deal of fitness and health features. I'm not like a major triathlete or anything, so I can't really speak on the accuracy in that area. I do more walking than anything else, and I found the Workouts app to be very easily understood to where I used it a little more than other smartwatches in the past just because of the simplicity. You're not overwhelmed with settings and options, and starting your workouts is bare bones, straightforward. You can set your calorie, your distance, and time goals with quick access to your media controls as well, and I find it to just be very intuitive for users of any age. And just like any other smartwatch, the Apple Watch tracks your steps and calories in the background, regardless of starting a workout or not, and your recorded stats are mirrored in the activity app for both your watch and the iPhone. So it serves its purpose in that respect, and I know plenty of people who swear by the Apple Watch to be their health and fitness companion. Especially because another big deal with this watch is its built-in electrocardiogram or ECG on the back. So launching the ECG app lets you monitor your heart's rhythm and notifies you of any irregularities, and this works basically by placing your finger on the crown to complete the electrical circuit for 30 seconds. And for this to work, the watch has to be really snug and you have to remain as still as a statue. Otherwise, it'll fail and you'll get an inconclusive reading. And Apple makes it really clear that it cannot detect signs of a heart attack. Look, yeah, this is a cool feature and a nice party trick, but it'd be really foolish and pretentious to think that you can skip out on your regular visits to the doctor just because you have an Apple Watch. just go to the doctor. Now, as far as the battery life goes with this watch, with moderate use, I was recharging about every 2 full days. The standby time is great. It doesn't last as long as the Galaxy Watch, but it's still pretty good. Sometimes I would recharge on the 3rd day simply because I wasn't interacting with the watch that much for that particular period, so I guess it's gonna depend on your usage. Alright, so in conclusion, although I would like to see more support for third-party app complications, the Apple Watch works exactly how a smartwatch should work in terms of reliability. So although it may have very limited customization and not exactly my style or taste, it's definitely the most simple and most functional smartwatch that I've ever used. So I kind of hate to admit that. I want to know your thoughts on this topic, and if you switched or if you're thinking about switching, drop those comments down below. Make sure you like this video and share with a friend, and make sure you subscribe and turn on the alerts notification so you don't miss out on some more incredible tech videos. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.